Hey, I'm Josh from Vacuums R Us and Sewing 2, and today I have a Riccar on here that when the machine is turned on, the red light turns on and the brush does not spin. The brush turns on momentarily and then the red light turns on. So the specific Riccar we're working on, it's the Riccar Prima, which is a canister vacuum. However, this particular system is applicable to the Riccar Prima. It's the Prima.TAP Premium, Tandem Air Premium, the Simplicity Wonder Tandem Air Premium. It's also applicable to any of the ultralight upright machines which have a lifetime belt. So that's going to be the R10P, the R17, the one with the 17-year service plan, and the Simplicity S10P for premium. They all use this same mechanism inside a very similar housing. Riccar uses this particular head design for a lot of their machines. It's a pretty high performing design, so it's very popular. So I'm going to dig in here a little bit. I just opened the top. There's 2 screws on the bottom, and then the top is going to open up. And I just started looking at the system here. So what this, it's called a Hall sensor. I don't know why. The idea here is that if you run something over and your brush roller stops, you run over a sock, right? And your brush roller is not spinning fast enough because there's a sock stuck on it, that the machine will turn off the power head. It'll turn this motor off entirely. And then there's a red light. On this machine, this light is actually going to turn red. On other machines, you'll have like a light on the side that will turn red. And the way the mechanism works is the brush spins, the belt is right here, and the Hall sensor is right here. And this thing spins, and as the brush belt spins, it will turn this Hall sensor, and it will sense that this sensor is spinning. And if the sensor does not spin, it will turn the machine off after being on for, you know, a second, half a second, something like that. So what I find, if I roll this roller by hand, I find that the Hall sensor is stuck. It's not moving. You'll see this. This is not rotating, right? I'll move this by hand, the belt is moving, the motor's moving, but this Hall sensor is not moving. And what I see is it looks like there's an awful lot of debris that's stuck inside the Hall sensor, and I'm willing to bet that that is causing the issue, that it's just gummed up with debris. So that's what we're gonna fix today. So there's 2 screws that hold it in. I'm gonna post a link in the bottom to the schematics for this machine, for the Riccar Prima.TAP and the Wonder and the other, you know, Simplicity Riccar models that this is applicable to. I'm going to post the links to the schematics for those products so that if it turns out you have a bad Hall sensor or you have a bad PCB, a printed circuit board, you can find those parts as well and you can get those parts. So I'll put that in there because sometimes the Hall sensor is just bad, right? In this case, I think the Hall sensor is probably fine and does not need to be replaced. I think it's just gummed up, but sometimes you have to replace the entire Hall sensor. I'm going to pull some of this, since I'm in here, I'm going to clean up some of the pet hair we got in here. This was a great machine for pets. Picks up pet hair really well, but as we can see here, we're getting quite a bit of hair inside the machine. So I just went ahead and unplugged the Hall sensor so I can set this aside. I'll have a little bit more room to work right here. So turning it by hand, it's just not spinning freely, right? Normally you can turn these and you just spin them and they'll spin. So there's a C-clip right here. I'll pop that off carefully so that I don't lose it. It goes flying across the room, right? So there's the C-clip, and then I'll pop this off. So they actually make these Hall sensors in Missouri. I actually got to watch them make them. They had a little press there and they put them together and everything. It's pretty cool. And the wheel is not popping off even after taking that seat. There we go. There it goes. Yeah, we can see there's a lot of stuff in here that's all gummed up. There's a bearing that's in the center right there. We'll see if the bearing is okay. There's debris inside the bearing. Bearing spins just fine. I think I think it was just gummed up with stuff because that bearing spins just great. There's some debris inside here I'll clean out real quick. And I'm going to put a little bit of grease on there while I'm in there to help things out a little bit. Not entirely necessary, but that way in the future, if more hair gets in there, it'll encounter the grease, and the grease will, you know, it's not going to prevent the hair from getting in there, but it will it'll grease the hair after it does get in there. So yeah, you can see the difference. It's visible. You can see that I can spin it freely and it continues to spin several rotations or a rotation or two. So I'll go ahead and put the C-clip back on. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to reinstall this Hall sensor and see what happens. So sometimes the Hall sensors do go bad. Just, I don't know why. The Hall sensors go bad. They're not that expensive. Easy, quick fix. So again, we'll put the schematics in the bottom. You can look up your model and you can see. And the Hall sensors for all these machines, it's the same Hall sensor. And in fact, it's the same Hall sensor for a couple other model machines that they have as well. Like the 20 series, I think, uses the same Hall sensor. It just uses a shim that changes the height of the Hall sensor slightly. Turn that clutch all the way down so we don't break any housings today. And don't forget my ground cable. Turn my clutch up a little bit. There we go. There we go. So now when I turn the brush, we'll see, yeah, you can see the Hall sensor wheel is now turning freely without any problems at all. So I'm going to plug it back in. A couple other things that can happen. Sometimes the Hall sensor's fine, the PCB goes bad. That's less common, but it does happen. That's also, you can find that on the schematic as well if that's what you find. If I was guessing, I would guess that the Hall sensor is bad first. Also, consider replacing the belt. The belts are lifetime belts. If you bring them to a service center, the belts on most of these have a lifetime warranty and will get replaced under warranty. They're not supposed to stretch. In some drier areas like Colorado, we actually do see that these belts will stretch just a little bit. It'll be enough of a stretch that they're not rotating the Hall sensor fast enough, and they'll shut down when they're put under strain. So sometimes the belt can be an issue. If you don't have a service center, you're going to have to buy one, and they're not cheap. They're one of more expensive belts, 15 to 22, 24 bucks, something like that. But that's actually pretty common on all these series of machines. If your belt will stretch out, that's on the schematic. Hall sensor and then PCB. The PCB is different between models. So the PCB that's on the Wonder and the Prima is the same, but then the PCB that's on the uprights is a different. It's a different PCB because they're a different wattage motor. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to test this out real quick. I have the customer's machine here, so I can plug it in. You can also jump these directly. However, you're going to be dealing with bare wires in that case, which is entirely up to you. I'm not liable if you electrocute yourself. Put pressure on it. So that check of applying pressure to the front of the machine, that's a good way to check a Hall sensor, because what happens a lot of times is, on our tech bench, we'll have a false Hall sensor on any number of machines. Oryx have them as well. Riccars, Cibo actually even has them. Lots of machines have Hall sensors. We'll test it on our bench. Everything works fine. We'll get it out to the floor. We'll send it at the front. The front end does a final QA. They put it on regular carpet. You see we have short carpet here. They put it on regular carpet, and the tension that's applied from that regular carpet to the brush is enough tension to slow the brush down enough that the Hall sensor kicks again. So I like to do that test where I push on the head a little bit to apply some tension to that brush and kind of simulate what it might be like to be on a plush carpet or some type of a thicker carpet, and make sure that that Hall sensor is pretty resilient and it's not kicking too easily, right? So that's fixed. That's it. That's all there was to it on this one. But that kind of goes over any of the other things that could potentially be happening to you too, to cause your Hall sensor to go off on the ultralights, as well as the Wonder and the Prima Premium.